A cyclist has been killed in a hit and run in County Kildare. Gardaí are investigating. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief. Today is Saturday 11th July 2026. I'm Neil, and in the next few minutes I'll take you through the news that matters at home in Ireland, then across to Britain and out into the wider world. Everything you need to know before the day begins. Ireland. Let's begin here at home in Ireland. A man in his 40s has been killed in a hit-and-run incident on the R445 between Kildare and Offaly. The cyclist was pronounced dead at the scene on Thursday evening or Friday morning. Gardaí are now appealing for witnesses and information about the vehicle involved. This is an ongoing investigation into what appears to be a serious criminal incident on one of Kildare's main routes. On a different note, schools across Ireland are grappling with a significant shortage of places for children with special educational needs. Parents and educators are raising the alarm about capacity and support, describing ongoing gaps in the system's ability to meet demand. For families with children requiring specialist education support, this remains one of the most pressing challenges in Irish education provision right now. Ireland is facing a status yellow heat alert, with temperatures possibly reaching into the low 30s next week. Minister James Browne has warned that the heatwave will place additional pressure on people, services and, importantly, local water supplies. Authorities are urging the public to use water responsibly as the hot spell takes hold. Here at home, that means being prepared for extreme heat, staying hydrated and safe indoors during peak temperatures, and being mindful of water usage as reservoirs face pressure during prolonged warm weather. And in a significant historical settlement, the British government has provisionally agreed to a £10 million payout relating to IRA double agents, a resolution that affects Irish victims and represents closure on a complex chapter of intelligence history. UK. Now across the Irish Sea to the UK. Nigel Farage's aide, George Cottrell, and his mother Fiona have been interviewed under caution by Metropolitan Police as part of an investigation into donations to Reform UK before the 2024 election. The inquiry is examining the transparency of the party's political funding. The Irish angle. Reform UK, led by Farage, has taken hardline positions on Northern Ireland and Brexit, so scrutiny of the party's funding and governance could influence its political sway over UK-Ireland relations and Northern Ireland policy. The UK's High Court has rejected the vast majority of emissions fraud claims brought by 1.6 million car owners against manufacturers including Nissan and Ford. The ruling means car owners will not receive compensation for allegedly fitted emission defeat devices. For Ireland, this matters because Irish car owners facing similar emissions issues may be affected by the legal precedent set in UK courts, and the ruling has implications for consumer protections and trade relationships in the automotive sector. More than 44,000 reports of strangulation were made to UK police in the past year, a stark increase, with campaigners and survivors calling for tougher sentencing laws. The spike reveals significant gaps in criminal justice protections. Closer to home, domestic violence patterns and criminal justice approaches in the UK often shape Irish policy thinking, and cross-border cooperation on victim protection relies on comparable legal standards and sentencing frameworks. World. And finally, out into the wider world. Russia has implemented a comprehensive diesel export ban, deepening a global fuel supply crunch and driving up energy costs worldwide. The move follows escalating sanctions and military actions in the Ukraine conflict, and it's already sending shockwaves through energy markets. For Ireland, this matters because diesel price increases directly affect transport costs for hauliers, heating bills for households, agricultural operations across the country, while also putting pressure on EU energy security and inflation across the bloc. Russia continues to pound Kyiv with intensive missile strikes, even as Ukraine has now established a dedicated long-range strike capability to escalate operations against Russian targets. The conflict shows no signs of de-escalation. Why does this matter on this side of the Irish Sea? Because the Ukraine war directly affects EU stability, NATO partnerships Ireland cooperates with, and global energy and food prices, all of which have knock-on effects for Irish households and businesses. US Vice President J.D. Vance is leading negotiations with Iran to try to halt attacks on shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical trade choke points. Escalating US-Iran tensions have already lifted oil prices globally. The knock-on effect for Irish households? Disruptions to Hormuz Strait shipping threaten global oil supplies and could drive fuel costs higher, affecting your heating bills, transport costs, and the overall inflation you feel at the till. Belgium's regional authorities have announced plans for a new road tax starting in 2027 that will apply to all vehicles, including those simply passing through the country. The move will affect cross-border travel and logistics across the EU. For anyone in Dublin, Cork, or Galway running a business or relying on haulage, the practical impact is real. Irish hauliers, businesses, and tourists traveling through Belgium will face additional costs, affecting transport logistics within EU supply chains and travel expenses. A lot moving this morning. Heat and water pressure here at home, tightening tensions across the Middle East and Eastern Europe, and rising costs for anyone moving goods across the Channel and beyond. And that's the morning brief for today. Whatever the day brings, take it steady. I'm Neil. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Until then, look after yourself.